So last time we were discussing Narad Muni instructing Vyasadeva to describe the qualities of the past qualities and pastime of the Supreme Lord. Because in the name of Dharma, Srila Vyasadeva has encouraged people to take the path of enjoyment. Veda discusses two paths, Pravritti Dharma and Nivritti Dharma. Pravritti is the path of enjoyment, and Nivritti is the path of renunciation. But the renunciation is complete when we take the process of glorifying the name, form, qualities, and pastimes of the Supreme Lord. So therefore, Narad Muni, he instructs Vyasadeva to glorify the God. But if Narad Muni, if Vyasadeva, he counter argue, if he says, well, I have described Dharma in Mahabharata and other scriptures, my intent was to show them this path of enjoyment so that they can be inclined to Shastra. I wanted to engage them in Shastra. Therefore, I have showed them the path of enjoyment. Actually, my intention is not that I wanted them to take pleasure in such kind of activities. While engaging them in such, then Narad Muni is saying, actually, by engaging them in such kind of activities, you are thinking you are doing welfare for them, they have actually misguided them. So instead of showing them an indirect path, why don't you directly engage them in Krishna Bhakti? So therefore, Narad Muni said that in different editions of Purana, you have encouraged people to take shelter of the demigods. And when people, they are engaged in the worship of the demigods, they will be chanting their name, they will be following the path of worship to the particular demigod. So in that way, they will develop their attachment, their attraction, and they will consider the different gods, demigods, as the Supreme Lord. That's a unjust. This is how you have misguided them. Therefore, Narad Muni, he says, Jugupsitam dharma kritenu sasatah स्वभावरक्तस्य महान् व्यतिक्रमः जद्वाक्यतो धर्म इति तरस्थितो न मन्यते तस्य निवारणं जनः. So Narad Muni is saying, Bharatadishu Krutam Dharmadi Varnanam Akinchit Karam iti uttam. So he has described that whatever you have described in Mahabharata in the name of religion, that is not sufficient. Pratyuta viruddhameva jatam iti aha yugupsitam iti. Actually, you have misguided them. Therefore, your so-called description of religious principles is condemned. It is not reasonable. Jugupsitam nindam kamya karmadi स्वभावत एव रक्तस्य तत्र रागिण पुरुषस्य धर्म कृते धर्मार्थम अनुशासत तब महान अयम व्यतिक्रम अन्याय. This is totally unreasonable. Why? Normally, people are inclined to kamya karma, fruitive activities. Activities which are based on fruitive intentions, people take much interest in such kind of activities. And especially those who have already developed their attachment to kamya karma, and you are showing this is dharma, isn't it unreasonable? Kudayati atra tatra. Jasya vakyato ayam eva mukhya dharma iti sthita itara prakrita jana tasya kamya karmadi अन्येन त्वत् अज्ञेन क्रियमाणं निवारणं स्वयं एव वा त्वया क्रियमाणं यद्वा. So, since you have encouraged these people who are very much attached to the path of material enjoyment, so the dharma, what they are going to undertake, afterwards, even if you show them the path of renunciation, they will not accept it. Like he is saying, Toya Kriyamanam. Even you also have said, Na karmana na prajaya dhanena. Not that by performing fruitive activities or by following one's own desire, giving birth to the children, and by getting opulence, one cannot develop attraction to the personality of Godhead. Tyagena eka amritatvam anashu. Only through the path of renunciation one can attain the lotus feet of the Lord. It is Sutya, this is said in the Shruti, Kriyamanam Nivaranam Jathartham etad iti na manyante. So these people who are already encouraged to take the path of enjoyment, they will not listen to these restrictions. Kintu pravritti margan adhikrita vishayam tat iti kalpayati. So they will say, this is dharma. Just like when some people, they try to take the indirect path in Krishna consciousness. Maybe you can take an example. If you don't tell people that Prabhupada wanted we should chant 16 rounds at least 16 rounds per day. And somebody says, no, they are in the beginning time, whether they chant, they don't chant, we don't have to worry about it. Just, okay, let them do whatever they want to do. Okay. But why don't you tell them from the beginning? Maybe somebody will take an impression, okay, if you go to ISKCON, there is no need of chanting. Huh? No. So from the very beginning, we have to clearly define what is the process. And therefore saying that there are some other philosophers who says this sannyas ashram, the path of renunciation, is not meant for people who are having a good physical condition. They are saying, Tatraivam sakyate bhaktum je andha pangvadayo nara. Those people who are blind, and pangu means lame people, who are physically disabled, grihasthatam na sakyanti kartum tesam ayam vidhi. So those who are blind, those who are physically disabled, so they cannot enter into grihasthashram. Naistika brahmacharyamba paribrajaka ta piva. So these people should enter into the Naistika brahmacharya ashram and paribrajacharya ashram, sannyas ashram. So this is what people will say. They say actually, when we go out for preaching, some people say, "Oh, as if you are, you know, you have a very good body physique. Why don't you take care of your, father and mother? Why don't you enter into Grihastha ashram?" Because they feel the entering into Grihastha ashram is dharma. That is actually dharma we should do. But they do not know that there is higher principles of religion accomplished in the path of, by following the path of renunciation. So, in this way, here, Narad Muni is saying that when you have encouraged people to take up the path of enjoyment, afterwards they are not going to listen the prohibition. Okay? Even Lord has said, right? If somebody says this pravritti dharma, the path of enjoyment is dharma, then why did Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Sarva dharman parityajya mameka saranam braja? And why? Some other people say there is mention in Shastra that Devan Pitrin Samarcha some Abhyarcha Khadan Mamsam Nadosha Bhak. After worshipping forefathers, demigods, when one accepts meat, he should not be blamed for his activities. These are the instructions given for people who are in the mood of passion and ignorance. They cannot follow the path of renunciation. Why such kind of injunctions are there in Shastra? These injunctions are meant for bringing people to the path of renunciation. Not that this is the goal of Shastra, that people should be engaged in meat eating. No. So, therefore, those who are accustomed to the path of enjoyment, they will say this is dharma, and they will not go to the path of renunciation. Therefore, Srila Narad Muni is saying that you should not have done this. He is saying, Prabhupada is writing in the purport, he is saying, men with materialistic tendencies are more attracted to the politics, economics, and philanthropic activities mentioned in the Mahabharata than to the principal topic, namely the Bhagavad Gita. This compromising spirit of Vyasadeva is directly condemned by Narada, who advises him to directly proclaim that the prime necessity of human life is to realize one's eternal relationship with the Lord and thus surrender unto him without delay. So, Krishna, he has instructed. Ultimately, we have to give up or practicing all these religions which are based on fruitive intentions and then surrender unto him. Sarva dharman pratyajya mamekam saranam braja. So, kintu pravritti margan adhikrita vishayam etad vakyam iti kalpayati taduktam. So, in that way, this is how Krishna is saying that by following this path of pravritti dharma, one can attain him. So, in text number 16, then he says, Vichakshunosyar hatibeditum vigo ananta parasya nivrittita sukham pravartamanasya gunairanatmana tato bhavandarsya chestitam vigo. So, Vichakshana, Vichakshana means Viveki Janastu. Those who are wise people. Means those who knows that the injunctions in Shastra for enjoyment is not meant for everybody. Those who are wise people, they know. Asya vibho sukham nivrittita tad itara gramya sukha nivritya veritum arhati. Gramya sukha means deha sukha, the enjoyment, sensual enjoyment. So these wise people, those who are expert in Vedic literature, they never take to such kind of processes. Vivu ananta parasya nivrittita sukham. Because they have taken the path of nivritti, therefore they enjoy transcendental happiness in the association of the Supreme Lord. Ananta parasya nivrittita sukham. Pravartamanasya gunai anatmana. Anatmana. Anatmana means dehadi abhimanina. Ata eva gunai sattvadibhi pravartamanasya janasya darsya. So here Narad Muni is saying those people who are already attached to their body, they are influenced by the mood of passion, ignorance, and goodness. That's why they are already engaged in different types of fruitive activities. Just to help them get rid of that path, you can describe the pastimes of the transcendental activities of the Supreme Lord. So the point is, in Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna says, "Na buddhivedam janet ajnanam karmasangina yosyet sarvakarmani vidwan yukta samachara." Some people say we have to instruct people on the path of jnana, that gradually they should give up their attachment. We should not directly instruct them about devotional service. There are two kinds of an approach. Some people they directly instruct about devotional service, and some others they indirectly instruct devotional service. So which one is correct? If we say, it looks like the way Narad Muni is instructing, he is emphasizing on the direct process. But we should know that in that verse in 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, text number 26, this Nam buddhivedam janayet, there Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he comments, he says, Jadi bhakto saddham utpadaitum shaknuyat tada karminam buddhibhedam api janayet. So, if somebody has the capability to induce somebody on the path of devotional service, means if a preacher is preaching to a non-devotee about devotional service, and by the dint of his preaching, the non-devotee has generated his faith on the path of devotional service, then he need not ask such a person to engage in karma. Bhakto saddhavatam karma anadhikarat. Those who have in the meantime developed their faith on the path of devotional service, they don't need to be engaged in the path of karma. Tavat karmani kurvita na nirvidyata javata mat katha sravana dova saddha javan na jayate. So there is an injunction in Shastra, in Bhagavatam, unless and until one develops the faith unto the Supreme Lord or develops attachment, attraction to the glories of the Supreme Lord, he should be engaged in karma. Dharman santajyasa sarvan mam bhajet sotu sattama. So giving up all engagement in all sorts of dharma, if one just engages in my devotional service, he is the highest. Sarva dharman pratyajamami kasanam braja, ityadi. So all these things are explained here. So the point is, who now the point is here that definitely those who take the path of bhakti, there is no need of Sattva Shuddhi. Whether he has attained a pure consciousness or not, that is not required. But those who are following the path of jnana, for them, Sattva Shuddhi is very, very important. So in that way, then they should be encouraged to take the path of Niskama Karma. Then they will become purified. In the purified consciousness, they will be able to better focus on devotional service. So in that way, now the point remains, one who is capable of inducing a karmi to take up Krishna consciousness. In commenting to this verse, Prabhupada says, like Sukadev Goswami, Vyasadev, they are right person to instruct people because they are unattached to material enjoyment. Actually, those who are instructors of Srimad Bhagavatam, they themselves have to be very pure. This is a very important instruction. When we lead a very pure life, then when we try to encourage others to take up Krishna consciousness, then they will generate faith. It will generate faith in them, and they can take up Krishna consciousness. Therefore, those who are instructing the path of bhakti should be in the line of Sukadeva Goswami or Vyasadeva, as per Prabhupada standard. He is saying, no, in the first chapter, where we are discussing, in the first chapter, when we are discussing the qualities of Vyasadeva, means those who are speakers from Bhagavatam, they should be totally freed from sinful desires, sinful activities. And they must be in the line of Sukadeva Goswami. So in that way, they can differ from the instructions of karma. Means they don't have to instruct their disciples to take the path of karma. They can directly engage them in devotional service. The expert devotees also can discover novel ways and means to convert the non-devotees in terms of particular time and circumstance. So this is another point. Therefore, Prabhupada, he has created different kind of, environment in ISKCON, giving us all sorts of engagement so that we can simultaneously satisfy our desires and we can be engaged in Krishna Bhakti practice. Then he says, Tyaktva swadharmam charanam bhajam hare bhajan napaputtha patit tato jadi jatra kova bhadram avud amusyakim kovartha aptam bhajatam swadharmata. So then he is saying, those people who are engaged in cultivating Krishna consciousness, what happens if they do not attain success? Somebody may say that, well, people may take up bhakti, but what happens if they are not able to complete the process? They may fall down, right? Those who are not pure, they have lot of desires, sensual desires. What will happen to them? They will commit mistake and they will fall down. So what should be what is your instruction for them? Using tattva swadharmam saranam bhajan hare bhajan napakvatha patit tapojati. Nitya naimittik karma must be performed by everyone. Actually, Shastra says one who does not practice Nitya and Naimittika karma, he is a culprit. in the material world, one who steals, he is a culprit, right? Who plunders riches, he is a culprit. But here, it is said that one who does not follow Nitya Naimittika karma, he is a culprit. But here, Shastra says, those Nitya Naimittika karma can be given up. Tyaktva, Swadharma. Then what he does? Charanam Bhujam Hare. But he has accepted the worship of the lotus feet of the Lord. And because he is not very much established on the path of devotional service, sometimes his mind may get attracted by ill desires and he will fall down. But here saying, bhajan apakvatha patit atha patit tato jadi, even though he falls down, tatra kova bhadramamud, what kind of loss is there? That means there is no loss for him. On the other hand, even if he is very carefully engaged in practicing his kamya karma, kamya dharma also you can say, what he will achieve? Therefore, one who knows the highest good will never instruct a foolish person to engage in material enjoyment. Prabhupada is saying, just as an expert physician gives his patient those food which are not injurious to his health. Sometimes people are affected by certain diseases and they desire to eat certain foodstuffs which are not good for their health. But an expert physician will definitely restrict them from taking such kind of foodstuffs, right? So this is what it means, that one who is coming from the path of bhakti will not insult them. Like there are references in Srimad Bhagavatam, Bharat Maharaj. He took up the path of bhakti and he fell down because of his attachment to a stag. Similarly, Chitraketu, because of committing offense unto Lord Shiva, he also fell down from his position. But what happened to them? They were again reinstated by the mercy of the Lord. So in that way, in the path of bhakti, even if somebody is not able to complete his journey in the same life, there is no problem. There is nothing to worry. Therefore, he is saying, Tasyaiva hetu prayatita kovidah na labhyate jad bhramatam paryata tallabhyate dukkha badanyata sukham kalena sarvatra gaviraram prasad. Sridhar Swami, he comments, Nanu swadharma matradi karmana pitruloka iti srute pitruloka prapti phalam asti eva. Why are you saying that they should not perform their dharma? Shastra says, by performing karma, one can attain Pitriloka. Therefore, responding to this question, Srila Narad Muni is saying, Tasyaiva hetu, tad artham jatram kuriyat. For what? Jat Swarupa Sakshatkara Purvakam Paramananda Sukham Bhagavad Vigraha Dhyanadi Bhakti Sukham Ba Tasyaiva Ityartha. That means when we take up the path of devotional service, we get the opportunity to have darshan of the Swarupa of the Supreme Lord. And by meditating upon his pastimes, his activities, his dealings with the devotee experiences highest grade of happiness. So therefore, tasyaiva hetu. Or even you can say, even if after taking up Krishna consciousness, one falls down from his position, there is no loss. Therefore, prayatita kovida. Kovida means kavidastu naivam tai pratarita. Shat karmana jo artha आभासते सो पुरुष पुनः अर्थ आभास एव न अर्थ इति. Those who are wise people, Kovida, Prabhupada translates, one who is philosophically inclined, is an intelligent person. Okay, those who are Kovida, they are not misguided. They are able to see things properly. What happens normally, people take to the sensual pleasure. Therefore, such kind of people that take interest in the description of the Veda, it says like, by drinking samaras, one can attain Swarga, and one can practice certain rituals to become successful in their farming, in their business. If they are desirous to attain a son, they can perform certain sacrifices. So these people, they take, karmis, they take interest in such kind of activities. So then why should they give up and take to the path of dharma? So, okay, it's a fact. Normally people, they do that. But wise people never get cheated by such kind of injunctions. They know very well that whatever happiness is seen through the execution of kamya karma, it looks like happiness, but it is not. Therefore, in the Bhagavatam, first canto, in the first verse, it is said that whatever is seen as a real object in this material world, this happiness or the experience, the experience of happiness is relative. The happiness of the material world is dependent on the happiness in the spiritual world. Means the happiness here in the material world is actually related to another object. Not that any object in this material world is absolute to give 100% happiness. So in that way, those who are wise people, those who know Shastra, they know the happiness in this world are like swapna. In the dream, we have become the king. People are giving us a lot of gifts, right? And you feel so happy. As soon as dream ends, then you know there is nothing. So, therefore, people don't take interest in such kind of activities. Then what they should do? Then, in this human form of life, we should endeavor for those kind of objects which is not even obtained by being born as Brahma or even born as the lowest entity in this earth planet. Na labhyate jad brahmatam uparyatha. Even if one is born as Brahma, still you will not get that. So what is that? That means talabhyate dukkha badanyata sukham anyata vishaya shokha. People don't desire for distress, it comes. Just like without even desiring for happiness, still it comes, right? We have seen in due course of our life, sometimes even if you don't want distress, it comes. Similarly, without endeavoring for happiness, it also comes. You are working in the office, one day you go to the office, your boss says, oh, here's a bonus for you, just take it. You didn't expect it, right? You were thinking, wow, what is this? So even though you didn't want, but still it came. Tallabhyate dukkha badanyata sukham. In Chaitanya Bhagavat it is said that if you are destined to receive some eatables, palatable eatables, you will certainly obtain it, even if you are in the forest. In this connection, our acharyas, they give a very nice description of a story. They say, there is a man who was always thinking, he was always arguing actually, how come Lord awards everything? Oh, you say, by the Lord's mercy, we eat, and if he does not, if I don't want, still you think Lord can give me food to eat? It is impossible. He said, no. Then the other devotee says, no, actually, Lord will ensure that you eat. He will arrange everything for you, even if you don't want. He said, no, it is not possible. I'll prove to you. How is it possible? If I don't want to eat, Lord can force me to eat. Okay? Then he said, I will test it. Then one day he went to the forest and he went up the tree without letting anyone know that he is on the tree. So he was thinking, now nobody has seen me. That means nobody will be able to supply me food. And then let me see how Lord will give me food. So that night, while he was, sitting on the tree, what happens? Some people, they were passerby, they were just going to the nearby village. So they took shelter under the tree. And they were carrying some nice eatables. So they just opened their box, and just before they started eating, they found a group of dacoits were approaching them. So these people, they hardly had time to, take the things and go. They just left everything and they ran away from the spot. So when the dacoits came near the tree, and they saw there are so many different nice foodstuffs prepared there. Then they said, dead at night, how come all these nice foodstuffs are there? Because they are thieves, they are very suspicious about their life. They are thinking maybe somebody has prepared this food for us and might have mixed poison in it, and he's watching from somewhere, and when we eat and we will die, then he will take away all the wealth from us. This might be a conspiracy by a gentleman. Let us see who has done this. So they started searching everywhere, and one of them, he looked up the tree, and then he saw there is a man sitting in the tree. Then they said, hey, come down. What are you doing there? Come down. Because they are thieves and they are, asking him to come down. So he came down. And when he came down, they forced him. They said, you must eat this. We know you have mixed poison in it. And if you eat, that means you will die. If you don't eat, we will know that you are the one who has mixed the poison in it. So then they told him that you must eat this food. And this man was saying, no, I have not mixed any poison. He was telling the truth, but they didn't listen. They started beating him. They said, eat it. Then he realized that whatever Lord desires, that happens. You cannot avoid Lord's desire. Distress comes to embodied soul without asking. Similarly, happiness will also come by the arrangement of providence. So those who are devotees of Lord Chaitanya, they know this principle very well. Therefore, Vidaraga Bhayakrodha Manmayama Pasrita Bhava Jnana Tapasa Puta Mat Bhavamagata. Those who are devotees, they don't desire for good conditions, never do they hatred if they are faced with some unfavorable conditions. In that way, when they are engaged in devotional service, Puta Madbhavamagata, they being purified, they attain the lotus feet of the Lord. So therefore, by the will of the providence, we get happiness and distress, and we should not get disturbed. Narad Muni continues. Navai jano jatu kathanchana brajet mukunda sevanyavadanga sansitim smaran mukundangri upaguhanam puna vihatumiche naraso graha jana navai jano jatu kathanchana brajet. Swami argue, if somebody by taking up devotional service, he falls down, what will happen to him? Is he going to take birth like karmis and again he will continue to suffer? Sometimes we have seen some devotees in the path of Krishna consciousness, they also suffer for distress, and sometimes they are also getting some happiness. Is it so that their happiness and suffering are like those of karmis? No. Narad Muni is saying, Navai jana jatu kathanchana prajet. Those who have embraced the lotus feet of Mukunda, their birth is never to be taken in the category of a karmi. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he is commenting on this verse, he is saying, मुकुंद सेवी जना जातु कदाचित भी कथंचन द्रोभिनिवेशादि वसात् अपि अन्यवत् कर्मी जनादिवत् कर्म फल भोगमयीं संस्थितिं ना व्रजेत. One who has taken to the shelter of Mukunda, who is engaged in the service of Mukunda, kadachit api kathanchana, if sometime due to his engagement in unfavorable activities, then he is suffering. But he is saying he does not suffer the like a karmi. He is not born in this world in the karmi. He is saying, Kintu Bhagavad Duttha Shubha Shubha Bhogamayi Meva Ityartha. The good and bad result a devotee gets, that is given by the Lord. Tasya Bhagavad Uttha Shubha Shubha Phalabhoga Tvat Tad Uttha Shubha Shubhayo Karma Janyatva Abhavat Iti Bhava. Because a devotee's happiness and stress is coming from the Lord, therefore it should not be taken like that of a karmi. So in that way, in Padma Purana it says, Na karma bandhanam janma Vaishvanam Vaishnavanam chapityate. Those who are Vaishnavas, they don't have karma bandhan. Their janma is not due to karma bandhan. We have seen in Bhagavad Gita, right? Those who have not completed their Krishna consciousness, they are given opportunity to be born in a rich aristocratic family to continue their devotional service in the next life. So in that way, it should not be taken like that, that these devotees are suffering because of their karma. Why? Somebody may ask this question, right? That what happens if somebody, after taking up Krishna consciousness, again he is becoming karmi, he may become fallen from the path. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, such a devotee, okay, uh, here it is said, Bihartum ichche na rasagrahara. Bihartum na ichche. Maybe, one time, second time or third time, because of its attachment to material objects, he may fall down from his position. But he never desires to give up the lotus feet of the Lord. Vihartum ichchanna means this devotee is devoid of pride. What does it mean? He says, I will not give up devotional service. This is my definitive desire. Even though sometimes I am not able to execute it properly, but I think the Lord will help me to successfully execute my devotional service. So he doesn't have pride. He understands his position very well. At the same time, he is very firm not to give up this devotional practice. Then, in this case, it is said, Rasagraha, just like, somebody who is having the influence of a bad planet, inauspicious planet, that person has to, suffer the influence of the inauspicious planet. That inauspicious planet does not leave him. Similarly, one who is freed from the pride and has accepted the devotional service as the definitive path for his success in Krishna consciousness, and he is fully dependent on the mercy of the Supreme Lord. He knows his limitations, that on my own I am not able to do it, but he will never leave me. At that time, Krishna's lotus feet and the exchange of rasa by serving Krishna will never come to an end. Here it is said that when a devotee is engaged in Krishna consciousness, when he gains the rasa, the taste in Krishna consciousness, it is said that in the beginning, the devotee will start his devotional service. And he will start the devotional service, then he will continue the path of Nishtha, Ruchi, Asakti. Then at the stage of Bhava, he will get the rasa. Right? So before stage of Bhava, he will not get the rasa. Then you can ask that how come one who has not attained the stage of rasa and he falls down, and he will have such kind of determination in him? No. In this connection, we need to understand the difference between the path of devotional service we have been asked by Rupa Goswami and the path of so-called devotional service accepted by other people who are not following the path of Rupa Goswami. There is a gulf of difference. Here Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Bhajanasya prathama rambha dine api prachannataya rasang sattvam asti eva. He is saying, when a devotee begins this Krishna conscious practices, from the first day, there remains a fraction of rasa in covered form. So there is an experience of a rasa in covered form from the beginning day of his engagement in devotional service. Therefore, the devotees, as they continue, like Krishna says now, ye jathamam prapadyante, as they surrender, he rewards them accordingly. So Krishna will ensure that this devotee who is devoid of pride and he is taking shelter of devotional service, then Krishna from within his heart will help him to remain attached to Krishna consciousness. So therefore, those who are not very advanced in Krishna consciousness, if they fall down, there is no problem. Prabhupada writes, even though he falls down, a devotee is never to be considered the same as a fallen karmi. A karmi suffers the result of his own fruitive reactions, whereas a devotee is reformed by chastisement directed by the Lord himself. Like Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur says, Subha Subha. Sometimes he is meeting with some auspicious result and sometimes some inauspicious result. That's kind of a chastisement by the Lord. Lord is actually trying to purify him. The sufferings of an orphan and the sufferings of a beloved child of a king are not one and the same. An orphan is really poor because he has no one to take care of him. But a beloved son of a rich man, although he appears to be on the same level as the orphan, is always under the vigilance of his capable father. This is a very nice example Prabhupada is giving. When a devotee, after taking up Krishna consciousness, because of his attachment to material objects, if he falls down, he is under the vigilance of his father, the Supreme Lord. So his suffering is not going to become so severe. Whereas one without taking up Krishna consciousness, because of his attachment to sensual objects, or even if somebody following so-called dharma, and because of his excessive attachment to sense objects, he falls down. Oh, his suffering is terrible. He is like that of an orphan who doesn't have a protective father. Therefore, we should never try to find fault with devotees, even who have, having taken up Krishna consciousness, have fallen down. This is a very important instruction for us. Therefore, Narvani continues, Idam hi vishwam bhagavan ivetaro yato jagasthana nirodha sambhava tadhi swayam veda bhavans tathapi te pradesamatram bhavatah pradarsitam. Srila Sridhar Swami writes, he said, Tadevam Bhagaval Leelam Pradhanyena Varnaya iti Uktam Tatra ko Bhagavan Kascha Tasya Leela iti Apekhya. So, Narmuni, if somebody asks that you have asked him to describe about the pastime of the Supreme Lord. Who is that Supreme Lord? What is his pastime? What is his Leela? Therefore, he is saying, Idam hi Vishwam Bhagavan Ivetara. Idam hi Vishwam Bhagavan eva. This cosmos, created cosmos, is God. It looks like it is Mayavad, right? No, it is not Mayavad. Listen. So, Tasmat Vishwat Idaraha means Ishwarat Prapancha, Ishwarat Prapancha no prithag. Ishwara tu prapanchat prithag ityartha. Means this created cosmos is not different from the Supreme Lord, but Supreme Lord is definitely different from the created cosmos. That means Janmadhyasya jata, from whom comes this world, right? Aham sarvasya prabhava. So that means before this cosmos was created, he was there. like in how to understand this, Kunti Maharaj, Draupadi Devi, she is telling, no, she's saying, Soyesa Bhagavan Drona Tvaja Rupana Vartate. And this son of Dronacharya, Ashwatthama, now he is before us, who is representing his father, Prajarupana Vartate. So before he was there, I mean to say, before Ashwatthama was born, Dronacharya was there. Similarly, before the cosmos was created, the Supreme Lord was there. So therefore, even though this Vishwa, this created cosmos is God, but God is different from it. That means it has the quality of the God. So in this connection, Mayavadis, they say, by following Upanishad Siddhanta, conclusive understanding of Upanishad, they say living entities are God because they are created by Idam hi Vishwam Bhagavan Iveta. In this Vishwa, whatever you see, moving and non-moving entities, they are all God. What does it mean? Even if they say the living entities are God, means according to our Gaudiya Vaishnava understanding, we say the living entities have the qualities of God. Prabhupada is commenting on this verse, he is saying the human being, after attaining complete perfection, may achieve a large percentage of the qualities of the Lord, say up to 78%. But it is never possible to surpass the Lord or to become equal with him. So a living entity, when he becomes pure, in the perfectly purified stage, he may attain up to 78% of Lord's qualities. So in that way, he is to some extent equal to God. But God is actually definitely different from the living entity because of having the 100% qualities. But Jiva does not have 100% qualities. Therefore, we are Anu, he is Vibhu, right? So, in this connection, we need to understand that this Vishwa is God. That means this cosmos is created, and one who understands the creation subject very clearly, he can understand God through this creation. Elsewhere, Prabhupada explains, this creation is nothing but an opportunity given to the living entities to understand God through it. This is how we can experience a God. So this cosmos you can experience. That's why it is kind of as good as God. But God is different from this. Brahman is different from this cosmos. So in that way, why it is said, Tatra hetu jata bhavata hetu jagata sthityadaya bhavanti. So it is said, Jadhi Swayam, sorry, he is saying, Jato Jagasthana Nirodha Sambhava. This is the pastime, that from him this material world was created and it is sustained in his energy and he is the cause of the destruction. Tadvi Swayam Veda Bhavan Tathapite. You know all these things very well. Pradesha Matram Bhavata Pradarsitam. I have just given you the synopsis. That means the knowledge of the Veda is gained from the Guru, right? Achiryavan Purusha Veda. When we take shelter of the Guru, then this knowledge of the Veda is revealed. That means those who are in the Parampara system, they can understand all these things. Even though Lord Vyasadeva, he does not need Guru, but this is for us, it is said. And actually he does not require Guru, and he can describe everything about the pastime of the Lord concerning this creation subject matter. And therefore, in the next verse, it is said, Siddhar Swami writes, Nacha tava acharyapekhya Ishvara avatar tvat iti aha tvam iti. Actually, you are an incarnation of God, therefore you don't require any guru. No acharya is required for you. Therefore, he is saying, Tamatmanatman ava Tvam atmanatmanam abehi amoghadrik parasya tumsa paramatmana kalam ajam prajatam jagata shivayata mahanubhavat yudayo adhiganyatam. So he is saying that, He Amoghadrik, oh you having perfect vision, to Atmana Swayam Atmanam Ajam Eva Santa Jagata Shivaya Prajatam Avehi. Actually, you have appeared in this world to bring auspiciousness. If Vyasadeva says, how can I bring auspiciousness? Mahanubhavad view dayo diganyatam. Actually, you describe the transcendental past and the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna more vividly. Adhikyena, adhiganyatam. That means just by describing the glories of the Supreme Lord, everything can be attained. That is confirmed in the next verse. He is saying, Idam hi pumsam par tapasa sutasya. People are engaged in the practice of austerities, study of the Veda, swistasya, they are engaged in the worship of the Lord, suktasya, there are different types of suktas, like Purusha Sukta and others. So buddhi dattayo, buddhi means their intelligence and they give charity. So all the result of performing penance, study of the Vedas, worship of the Lord, and chanting of the mantras, and giving the charity, all these things, abhichutartha kavibhi nirupita jaduttama shloka gunanubhara. The result of all such pious activities can easily be attained by one who is engaged in the glorification of the Achyuta. And that is established by Kavi, those who are expert, Kavi, by the recognized learned persons. So, therefore, Vyasadeva is saying that, Narad Muni is saying, you just engage yourself in the description of the Supreme Lord, and that will bring the perfection to your austerity, study of the Veda, and whatever you have done so far by the application of intelligence, now it will bear the perfect fruit. So therefore, in this connection, we can tell our founder Acharya A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, he has given a lot of emphasis on to directly preaching about Krishna, directly preaching Krishna consciousness. He has given a lot of emphasis into book distribution. Some other people, they criticize us. Why do you distribute book? Because this is Krishna conscious literature. People will study, they will know about Krishna. And nowadays, people are already culprit because of having given up their Nitya Naimittika karma. And if we can somehow or other engage them in studying Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, chanting the holy name of the Lord, honoring Mahaprasadam, whole world will be peaceful and they will attain happiness. So this is the plan of our founder Acharya. And therefore, we all should take to this process with all sincerity, and we try to give Krishna consciousness to others. Next, from text number 22, Srila Narad Muni is going to speak. Sorry, 23. From 23, now he's going to say that Satsangata Harikatha Savanadi Phalam So Vittantena Prapanchayati. That means the result of the association of saintly personalities will be described by Narad Muni by discussing about his personal life. Swabhrittanta. So from text number 23, Narad Muni is going to speak from his own life experience. So I think we can discuss this section. Next class we'll complete this entire chapter. Today I went through every verse because for me, and this section is very, very important because we all are engaged in Krishna consciousness. We are, engaged in preaching. We are studying Bhagavatam, and because this is the core teaching of Narad Muni to Vyasadeva, where he is encouraging Vyasadeva to compile Srimad Bhagavatam. So I found it quite befitting for all of us. That's why I was kind of referring to different commentaries and trying to understand. Especially, I was kind of enjoying, I can tell you, for my satisfaction, I was reading like this. And that's why I went a little slow till today. But from next class onwards, I'll not be reading all the verses. We will try to explain the important verses and we will keep up with the flow of the narration. Okay, so maybe today we have completed one section. Let us take some questions.